Hey everybody, my name is Gabe the Painter, and I am clearly and obviously an artist. I teach art classes for a living as well as I make these videos. And before we get into anything, before I help you guys and show you guys how to draw hands in the easiest way possible and in a way that makes sense, just to hurry and like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you can see all of my videos. And without further ado, let's get right into the hands.
Okay, take a look at my hand right here. Obviously, I don't have the best hands in the world, but you know what? I have some pretty good hands. At least I feel so. I love them. I feel very grateful to have them. It'd be horrible not to have them. But to get things going, I want you to focus on one thing. The hand consists of one main shape. And I'm going to show you guys that, but it is essentially a square. If you really look at it, there's like a square in there. Take a look at this, okay? See that square? Exactly. That palm makes a pretty good malformed square, we could say, all right? Now, for all my visual learners, let me draw this out. So I got a picture of a hand, and this right here is the square. Right? So this is the square that you would see on a hand. And that's the base to every beginning of drawing a hand. A lot of people like to complicate hands. I don't know why. I always hear that because I am an art teacher. Everybody's always complaining about how hard hands are. But look at this. It's as simple as this. You just get the square. That's all you guys have to focus on for right now. The beginning of drawing a hand is just getting the square. Just like everything else, it's always going to have to start with the basic shapes. And that's exactly what this is. From there, we can make more shapes. We can focus on the triangle that goes out from the base of the thumb. But that's not what we're focusing on. I just want you guys to know that all you really need to know is that you must have that base shape of that square. And from that square, which was the palm or the top of the hand, you can draw straight out and get the finger. Now I'm focused on making it very angular. I'm not looking at, okay, I'm drawing a hand. I'm thinking more in my mind about the angles and shapes, right? If you think about, okay, I'm drawing a hand, then you're switching in the analytical side of the brain, which gives no place for artistic ability. There's no creativity, I should say, in trying to solve a math problem or trying to solve an equation. And that's exactly the same process it's taking. Is you're thinking too much about getting that shape. You're trying to solve a problem when it's very straightforward. It's just getting the angles and the shapes. That's it. You're not drawing a hand, you're drawing angles. Awesome. So now I'm drawing another example of a hand. I feel like this is this is something you definitely want to follow along with. If you've got a pen and paper nearby, please, by any means, or a pencil on a paper, whatever, right? Take whatever you've got and just join me, right? Because practice really does make perfect. Here I am I drew the base square, and then I'm going off of the wrist. And I'm not focused on you could focus on doing the basic shapes of the wrist, like the straight angles, which in a way I did, but I did bring out some of the other shapes I was seeing. Here's the reference I'm using. Same thing I was just looking at. From here, a lot of people would get into the triangular shapes that would stem out from the thumb. I'm just focused on getting the basic angle right. I'm not going to create another shape, although you definitely can. That might make it easier. And I'll show an example of that again in a second. But again, I'm just looking at angles. So there we go. That's the thumb. And you can kind of see the triangle coming out from that side of the square. That's where most people would draw that triangle. I'm drawing the fingers. Okay, now here's one of the examples I've seen of people using to draw fingers. And it's kind of this, it almost looks like the blade of a knife. I don't know. But fingers really are shaped like that. Again, these are basic shapes. You can simplify them a little bit more if you want just rectangles, right? But I erased it because I want to show you guys an example of what some people do. So this right here would be a more simplified finger, right? Just getting those kind of rectangles. And you can simplify them even more if you want. It really just depends on what works best for you. I'm going to draw another quick one, as simple as this, okay? Drawing the square. And then that finger, I've seen some people, they'll get like the knuckles of the hand. This is another example of something you can do. Obviously, pick your best practices. You want to know everything so that you are best equipped for your style, right? Because it's not about my style. And then some people do these like weird, the spiral. I've seen someone do that. And that's kind of helpful. It's pretty simple as well, and it makes it a lot quicker in some ways. So if you want to try that, of course, experiment with everything, right? Already you can see, you can do that pretty dang fast. But for me, I just find it a little bit easier just to focus on the angles, outlining, right? It's a little bit easier for me. It's kind of what I'm more in practice of. I can do both ways, but this is just how I like to do it. Also, can we just talk about how oddly this finger is bent? What the heck? That's crazy. I was just thinking about that. Okay, here you go. This is how you would separate those angles if you want to make sure that you know where those joints are, right? It's important. Okay, and then of course that lip of skin, I guess you would call it, comes out a little on top of our square. I'll draw the knuckles out for you so you can kind of see, or at least that one. The pinky kind of goes out. You can see that angle. That exact angle is what I'm trying to replicate. It's pretty straightforward. That's one nice thing about fingers is they can't really bend backwards, right? Except for that index finger. What the heck? We can talk about that later. Now we got the little rock on symbol, Awesome. We're getting the next finger in. Same thing, just focusing on the angles. And I'm not trying to get it perfect. I just want to get the shapes in so that I can start working on the details and so that I can get the gratification. If you take the whole time trying to set up a picture, you find no satisfaction. So just don't think too much about it and just do. Don't think, just do. I think Yoda says that. And I found that that's a very good advice in all sectors of art. Perfect. Now I'm just getting some of the other basic shapes. And actually what I'm doing, this can help a lot if you're trying to get more of your shadows, kind of more of the details, if you're trying to figure out how to shade, right? I'll probably come out with another video on shading, but right now I'm looking at areas where it's darkest. So I'm kind of outlining those spaces, kind of color blocking out areas so that I can shade a little bit easier. Also, I feel like it's cool for the style. So yeah. Even in this example right here on the reference, you can see that they kind of color blocked themselves. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you're a beginner. I had never really thought about how helpful it is. And also I feel like it looks so cool when you do that. When you can kind of get the outlines for the shadows and then you get some parts in pen and then the rest is all in pencil, or, it doesn't really matter, right? You're going to find your own ways, things that you like a little bit better. And that's when you really start to soar in art, is when you find your style and your way of doing things. But here I am just working the shadow. I'm going to actually bust this into a little bit of a time lapse so you can see this sped up. I don't have a whole lot to teach, just kind of follow along, practice, have fun with it. Okay, so now I'm taking a little break from this this other hand example, and I'm actually going to show you guys a more simplified version. If you guys are looking, if I notice there's a lot of like kind of anime style artists, there's been for a while. Honestly, personally, not my thing necessarily, but this is really helpful if you want to kind of get into that more animated style of art, right? Or the cartoony, this is super simple, the simple square, right? If you want to just not do the fingers, right? I think that's really what people are scared of. Then you can just get like the little nubs. And then, of course, at least try and get the thumb, right? If you want to do a little thumbs up, this is my thumbs up to you guys for joining along and practicing, right? Because guess what? Not a lot of people practice like you. I'm proud of you. I am. And also, this is also a reminder just to maybe like the video, maybe, possibly. Of course, only if you want to, but I know you do want to deep down, so I would love it. And here I go. I'm just going to hurry and zoom through again. I'm just getting all the pen. this is just the beginning stage of some of the detail I want, right? So for you guys, as you guys are drawing your hands, go ahead and just try and get as much detail as possible. Don't skimp out on some detail, right? Detail is what makes the picture feel so gratifying. Don't you just love looking at a picture and you're like, I really worked hard on that, right? And that's exactly what you want to seek every single time. Not only that, you want to do your best every single time so that you get better, which I know that's all you guys are about, right? So I'm just working in, getting the outline, getting some of the fingernails. I didn't talk about that too much, but fingernails are just kind of straightforward. Obviously, you aren't going to be able to do them if you don't get your practice in, but just throwing those in. There's no cheat to art, by the way, also. I just want to say that real quick. Kind of random, but there's no cheat to art. A lot of people like to sell you these books that are like, this is how you draw 100 Pokemon characters. But it's like the same picture over and over again, right? And that's really all it teaches you to do. It doesn't teach you how to be better at art. It just teaches you how to draw the same thing over and over again. As far as shading, that could be a video in and of itself. I'm not done here, obviously, but just join me as I shade a little bit. So that's hand numero uno. Now it's not perfect, obviously, but it's pretty good start for something. I had to cut one of these out because it was inappropriate hand signs, but we don't believe in that, guys. We don't. That's why we're going to be working on this. So quickly, you can see that sketch, exactly how I pulled it off. So many ways, right? Obviously, you can tell it's not totally the same, right? But it's, in essence, kind of the same concept, same idea, sort of, right? And then you can automatically up it from there. Here's some other ones, right? I really like some of these, like the gun ones, kind of cool. That's a really interesting pose. And what would be fun is if you were to do the realistic side of this, all the joints and the different muscles that you'd see activated, right? Even in like something like if it was a more stressed position, you know, like these are really cool because they're more stressed positions. So you can see the joints activating and whatnot. Here's another one I pulled off, kind of more cartoony. I guess you could say more anime style. I'm not totally into that, but you know, people love it. Same concept. You can see they use that square method. They can they do the color blocking when it comes to shading. You know, they break all their shapes up. It's all very angular. And so even with this more realistic one, it's all extremely angular. You can see the lines. This is from getting the basic shapes, right? If it isn't angular, you won't make it, right? It's not going to be the same, right? You got to get those shapes. Let's do another really quick one. Right, and then you would get top of the knuckle area, kind of angles down. Right, so now you got that simple boxy setup, right? Now this is one's where it's going to be a little bit weirder because you got the fingers kind of overlapping here. So I'm going to look at the thumb first. See the angle, I already have that out, kind of goes up a little, boxes in, right here. Again, I'm not trying to make it 100% perfect. I'm just trying to get it down, right? Trying to get the shape. Then you can see that they created the angles. They created the fingers as a shape. I didn't do that. Obviously, that's something you can do if it helps out. Again, we're just kind of practicing together, right? Not trying to get it 100% perfect. Actually, whoops. Except that's where I messed up. I got confused by my lines. Just trying to get it in. We just want to get the practice, right, guys? Perfect. Kind of see the knuckles, how they angle. Kind of break it up into these lines. Oh, they all kind of angle a little strange here, but you know, just getting the round shapes, right? Not trying to get it perfect, just trying to get it intentional. Let's kind of go through and outline a little. I'm actually going to add a little bit of curve to this now that we're getting the actual sketch. So now we have that simple kind of cartoon style fist. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start looking at the shadows, right? I like the way that he kind of was shading the fingers, trying to get these kind of more cross lines, these the cross hatching style, right? I'm gonna do that with our pencil here. Let's take our HB, trying to get some darker lines, right? Take my 2H. I'm just gonna throw in some basic shadows all around and just kind of some of these joint areas that we didn't get before, you know, just kind of working working it all around. I think there'd be a little bit of shadow over here, so I'm not gonna go crazy, but anyways, you guys kind of get the point. Here's another one down. We have a fist kind of in a different style. So here you go. 3 super simple styles, all using the same method of simplifying your shapes and then working off of them, right? Hands don't have to be so hard, right? Simplify your shapes and it will all start working out together. I've given you guys 3 different ideas of hands you can work with. Don't forget to use references. Take pictures. Box out on top of your, print those pictures out and draw on top of them, or go through your photo editing app and trace over them with a pencil tool, right? Just practice. You aren't gonna get better at hands if you don't practice, and that's just the end of story. Please join me. I'm gonna have a couple more of this series, teach you guys how to draw mouths, noses, feet, faces, bodies, muscles, everything. I'm gonna teach you guys everything, just how to draw the whole entire human body. And if you guys have any other ideas of what I should draw, just let me know in the comments below and I'll try and get to you as soon as possible. And I will see you in the next video.